I've been getting thousands of emails asking me what I think about Season 3 and how I live with what I've done. You are never going to believe it, but the focus of this silly little comedy video is going to be the comedy of Clone High. And part 1 of that discussion is the, hold on a second. The violence and gross out humor. The only gross out that makes me laugh is looking in the mirror. I don't like gross out. They really went for it. There's a scene where 2 characters have graphic eye sex. There's a bodysuit and pegging. If only my incest anime could be that graphic. Then they did, I can't get specific because I do want this video to be spoiler free, but the skunk? If you find that funny, good for you. But for the rest of us, holy crap, I don't like it. This is just my own personal bias, but I'm not a fan of gross out humor. Like, you know that SpongeBob episode where he gets a splinter in his thumb? That was my 9/11. Comparing gross out jokes to 9/11 is poor analysis. There's no commentary in it. But I also think it's kind of fitting, and I don't know how to balance those two things. Like I normally do with gross out, let's just forget this and pretend it never happened. That's on me, guys. I'm sorry. Violence. I already forgot the green screen one time. I'm not going to do that bit twice. Now, violence is a weird topic in Clone High because there was violence in Clone High Season 1, but it was a lot tamer. I'm an idiot. Season 1.
You know what hurts the most, Joan? This nail I just stepped on. But there's a metaphorical nail in my other foot that hurts the second most, and it's from you backstabbing me. So maybe instead of the nail metaphor, I should have used a stabbing metaphor. But it's too late for that now, isn't it?
I guess it is.
Hilarious. That is one of my favorite jokes from the show. But then you have Season 2.
Ow, dinger, paper cut. Ow, dinger, dinger, ow, dinger. Ah, dinger. Oh. And for that punishment, I deserve to have hot wing sauce poured into these paper cuts. Ah.
This just wasn't that funny, now was it? It just is bloody. The absurdity of it is almost funny, but there are so many better examples of absurdity in the show.
Snowflake Day is just another made-up holiday, courtesy of the greeting card industry, just like Valentine's Day and Easter.
I can take her out right now.
You don't have to rely on blood or pain for a punchline. I sound like my parents. It's not real comedy if they're swearing. I'm not saying that somebody getting hurt isn't funny. It is hilarious. But it isn't funny to see the realistic amount of... My bar still farted. But it isn't funny to see the realistic amount of pain that those injuries would bring. Like, imagine if after Wile E. Coyote falls off a cliff, the camera just hangs on him for 8 seconds as he screams in agony. That's a little bit funny. It's just a little bit funny. But not when you hold on him for 8 seconds, and also the rest of the episode is filled with stuff like that. Like, okay, take this clip from Season 2.
So the people will come to my party, not yours. Almost there. Keep doing the finger guns. Oh.
This is funny, out of context. Within context, we've already seen all this. All this. It's too many. And not only that, but it's followed up by the paper cuts. Am I just soft? Maybe. Prozac can have that effect on people. But also, this is the last thing I see every night before going to sleep, so possibly not. Season 1 had violence, but it was a big difference. Usually when somebody got hurt, they would use a tiny bit of blood for comedic effect. And then on top of that, the characters would barely react, with the exception of Ponce's death and the Nork. But even the Nork was more tastefully done. There is a tiny amount of blood to start, but it just feels like Tom getting his mouth stuck in a mousetrap. Up until the very end, where those 3 tiny jokes crescendo into a huge graphic thing. But even then, it's not that graphic because it happens off screen. If Abe was on screen, it wouldn't be that funny. But since there's a degree of separation, it's funny. I don't know. In the reboot, it feels like they take pleasure from their characters suffering. Did Pinhead write this? Are Phil Lord and Chris Miller Cenobites? Thankfully, after like 2 or 3 episodes, Season 3 does drop this style of humor, which is honestly applicable to every single problem. But I'll get more into that in a minute after a jarring transition. Over-explaining. Yet another Season 2 problem that made its way into Season 3. And yet again, it's hard for me to explain this, so let's look at some more examples.
Nothing could possibly come between us boys. So help me God.
So many things are literally coming between us.
If this were Season 1, the joke would be a lot more like this. I promise you, Abe, nothing will come between us. What did you say? Nothing will ever come between us. Oh, okay, that's great. I really value your friendship. What? I said I really value your friendship. Me too. It's so nice that we'll be friends forever and nothing will ever change that. Do you see what I mean? I guess the word I'm looking for is subtlety, but it doesn't feel completely right. I settled on labeling this section over-explaining, which is the lack of subtlety. But that's so many words. Okay, why use that many words when I can use 2 and a hyphen and let my thumbs go on vacation with all that time saved? Can we go? I think I'm starting to burn. No. I know it's hard. Nice. To trust my opinions on comedy when I write jokes that stupid, but I am not saying that I could write this show better than these professional comedy writers. What I am saying is that they, at least in some point in time, had an affinity for over-explaining comedic situations. And it's not because they don't trust you to get the jokes. I think they just genuinely find it funny, which is better than insulting my your intelligence. I don't have intelligence. I'm an idiot, but I'm fighting for you. Look, I don't find over-explaining funny. You have like a 40% chance that I'll laugh at it, but that's just because I love to laugh. I am a slut for laughing. I will spread these lips for the latest Dane Cook special. I don't care. And I don't want to make it seem like it's every single joke, because it isn't. And again, the first 3 episodes of season 3 really feel like the writers ironing out the kinks from season 2. I mean, take this joke for example.
Don't worry, they're not be able to really sled my face with the monkey market carps.
Quick, Ivan! Suck out the poison!
Decay.
I think that's pretty funny. But if this were season 2, the joke probably would have ended like this. Yeah, I don't think that's what she meant by that. Do you see what I mean? Let the little gags be little gags. Don't explain it. When you do, it makes the show seem a lot less sharp than it actually is. But like I said earlier, they dropped this after 3 episodes. And even still, just because those 3 episodes aren't perfect doesn't mean they aren't good. I loved the sports episode, and I thought the new teacher episode was pretty good as well. I don't remember episode 3 because the main theme of that one was religion, and I am a Christian, so that one probably wasn't meant for me anyway. Look, it's not on the level of season 1, but it is actually good this time around. And I am not saying that because of hype. I know. 9 months ago, I made a terrible video. I broke down the math for you, man. I waited 42% of my life for that. Excuse me for getting caught up in the hype. 42% is a lot. My butt is chafed thanks to this bar. I'm chafed. It hurts. Why? It's not even funny. That just, ow. Now I know why the stand-up comedians don't actually use the bar stools. Look, I got excited, okay? Po Body's Nerfing. It's a Good Place reference. I love that show. And the plots aren't as stupid as, like, the zombie one and the mind control plot. Like, why was that in the show? Instead, they're smaller scope and they actually feel a little bit more grounded. Like the one where Scudworth is trying to get as many free burritos as possible so that he can siphon the money from the Clone High food budget and put it towards Cloney Island. That's so simple and stupid, and I thought it was funny. Burritos are by far the most hilarious food. And the character drama is actually fun to watch again. I didn't give a crap about the stupid Joe and FK stuff from last season. Alright, it was fine. It was a lot of wasted potential. It had its moments, but ultimately it was a letdown. But this season, I cared so much. Some might say too much, but some might also say that bringing back Gandhi will fix every problem the show has. Is that a hot take? Ow, I don't know. Stupid. My butt, it hurts so much. Look, I want Gandhi back as much as the next guy. His name is Derek, and I do not like him. I gave your hamster VD, Derek. There's no P in hamster. I gotta figure out a better way do I have like a pillow? Just because they're a beloved character doesn't mean that they're going to write beloved episodes. That said, after this banger, my hopes are way up. HBO better renew them for a 4th season. Being my therapist is hard enough. Don't put him through me going through that. The last thing that I would like to say is they made fun of the comedic abrupt ending. I love comedic abrupt ending.